ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, ain't gonna hide, gonna let all the fears slide. Got Mother Nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing inside.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with Cambell from Auto Didactic. I'm Lorenzo from the New Now. We've started our new series called the Oddyssey of Truth. Keep an eye here and on his channel. The new one should be out even later today, very, very soon. And we've decided to delve deeper into some of the topics we've explored in our first one in, let's say, schooling and teaching yourself and what you've learned and where you came from and how you got there and what it means for you and what it can mean for you. Hey, Cambell, how's it going?
Good. Very well, thanks, Lorenzo. And yes, school. Interesting word, isn't it? Like, we have schools of fish, and what do? They just sort of swim around following each other and being the same, right? And then when you go to school, you have to wear a uniform, just so that you're uniform with everyone else, the same. All these terms, they pretty much tell you, right? Come here and we'll make you the same as everyone else. So yeah, school, what is it really? And is it really, worth our time and effort, and focus that everyone seems to put into it? Because, are the results worth the effort, I guess, is the question when it comes to school.
Schools of thought, they call it. It's all in the words, schools of belief, schools of ideas. And as you said, a school of fish. So everyone's following along. And I found for myself, and something I've been meaning to ask Cambell is like, what was your experience like? Did you go to school in Australia, I'm assuming?
Mine was a little bit different because I went to 10 schools.
10 schools?
Right? 10 schools. Yeah, lots. My dad was in mining, so my schooling was across all in Australia, but across 3 different states. And
really?
Just a lot of schools. So, which is, I don't even, that was probably good because it kind of helped me escape the programming a bit. I was never, sort of anywhere, to get like because every time I moved, you sort of, especially state to state, when you get to the new school, it's at a different, it's not at the same place. So yeah, my schooling was just lots of like, either catching up or sitting around being bored because I'd already done it. So not a normal experience for me.
No, I always wondered. I mean, I wanted to tie it back in, and I guess you kind of hit the nail on the head. How do like 100 different, let's say, boys, since we're boys, go to school when they're 7, 8, 9, 10, and why do 98 of them end up in suits and so-called well-adjusted to a crazy society, which is no accomplishment, as I've heard a quote. It's no great accomplishment to be adjusted to an insane asylum. Which, it seems people are. And I always wondered why I was different. I would look at the students playing or having their meetings or having their clubs or having their girlfriends when you get to 12, 13 and having their parties and how they could all be, I don't think they were pretending either, happy, set up and, moving along in what seemed to be for them a well-adjusted day to day. Whereas I felt completely butt fucking sane the whole time. I felt like when I was talking, I couldn't understand anything people said. I couldn't get away from the horrific feelings of what they thought was okay and acceptable, whether it was the bullying or the sexualization at the time. And I don't mean even in a bad way, even normal rules, for men and women. And, all of it seemed like it was a different alien language for me. And, and I had the opposite experience of Cambell in that, I moved to my parents' house when I was in kindergarten and stayed there pretty much to university. So I had one school for, elementary, one school for junior high, and one school for high school. But, I, in my way, found the same thing that Cambell did. I was either bored out of my mind, falling behind, or trying to catch up because I missed so much time because I really hated the whole process.
Yeah, I was the same. I just didn't, because what school does, when you think about it, it tries to make kids grow up too fast. It basically steals their childhood. And when you're in school, you know that you should just be running around playing. It's definitely got nothing to do with sex. I mean, that's just evil. But all this indoctrination, and you must think like this, and this is the world, that's just as evil, I think. It's because it's literally stealing the childhood, the innocence, the imagination, the nonsense, all this kind of stuff away, and saying, no, that's not relevant anymore. Now you have to learn numbers and spells, and that way you can go and get a job and contribute to society. And as we mentioned in the last episode, none of this has ever got to do with your happiness. They never mention what's good for you. It's just conform to the school. So, and when you look at schools, if you want to freak yourself out, go and look at pictures of school rooms, and then school like eating halls, and prison eating halls, and school buses and prison buses. That will freak you out, and that really tells you what's going on here. This is school. I think we're all starting to see that school is, it's really quite nefarious. It's really holding us all back and holding the whole society back is what it's doing, because no new ideas are allowed out, and that's the problem.
They look like prisons from far away and close up, and you see the fences around all the schoolyards, and they say it's for the safety of the children, but that's what we're hearing about all the shenanigans, let's say, going on these days. Always you hear it's for your safety or for your protection or to make sure you're okay, but basically you're locked in an area that you can't get out of for a certain amount of time, following a bell or a whistle or those reports. And I don't know about Cambell, but anytime those reports came on over the speakers where they're talking about you, I always got that creepy crawling feeling up the back of my spine, like some of those strange science fiction shows where there's a disembodied voice coming over from who knows where, telling you what you can do and can't do, and when you're off and when is your holiday, and and when you have to do this and when you have to do that. And it always seemed to me, it felt, for lack of a better word, creepy, unloving, cold, distant. To me, school felt like nothing less, for the most part, other than child abuse. I can look back now and say I've spent years getting over what feels like, full abuse.
And some people, literally went through hell, with bullying and all this kind of stuff in schools. Obviously going to so many schools, I was always running into bullies. I just sort of figured out they're all the same and how to get through them. And which is, I guess what we're getting back to. It's all, even if we're in situations, you can still decide how you're going to go through that situation. You don't have to always follow the rules. You can always work out, because there's always rules they give us, but then there's always rules that they don't give us, but they seem to work. So if you can figure those out, you can pretty much hack the system. That's as far as bullies and teachers and that, because it's all authority. You never get the feeling, again, that the teachers are there, for your best. Maybe if you talk to people, they might go, I had a favorite teacher. In all my schooling, there was one person, because, they're not there. They're there to tell you what to do, to get you into a box, so that they can then deliver you out the other end. And then you're now a working cog of society. And that's really what, school is. They take in an imaginative young soul that, has vision and all this, potential, and they squash it out and they give us a robot, basically. And literally by that time, people think it's normal, and they compete with each other and they play the game and they think that they're succeeding. And, it's not until they're sort of 40 or so that they sort of stop and realize, oh, maybe I got duped. This isn't all that they told me. Just look at the work hours. It used to be, dad going to work for 40 hours a week, maybe. Then it was mum and dad 40. Now most jobs are, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. But people don't have more money.
No.
They've got less money. How does that work?
And it's mom and dad going to school. So the kids are left maybe with nannies, maybe with, paid help, or maybe they're in extracurricular classes like they are here in Japan. They go to school and then they go to extra school. I've seen them running home, at 3:30, and then they're running back at 5 o'clock for their extra school courses, and they go half days for other extracurricular activities. And it just seems, always being regimented. And I believe, from what I've seen now, is that it's the real role, the true role of school, and why it pissed me off so much is they weren't really there to teach you anything of value, but to acclimatize you to being a slave, to being used to someone telling you what to do, someone, you know, beeping the buzzer. Okay, now you go here, and now you go here, now you go there. Now there's somebody taller than you that's bigger than you, and generally they're standing up while you're sitting down, so someone literally looming over you. You know, and they're generally not so friendly, even though they're friendly. It's just something really, really I found undistressing, I would say, about the whole experience. And, you know, I wanted to get back to asking Cambell, so what made you different? I mean, this is, for me, from day one, pretty much I felt like I was an alien, or everyone else was an alien, you know, landing in a strange planet. And you know, I was born in Canada and I went to school in Canada, and I wasn't a so-called immigrant, or didn't have a different language, or an accent, or so-called different skin color. That is a problem for some people, let's say, because, you know, the schools I went to had many varying shades of color, Toronto being that kind of a city where, you know, you're used to every color of the rainbow, so to speak, of people. But, you know, with even all that being said, you know, I still felt like the most bizarre alien in like, you know, in landing in an alien world. How about you, Cambell? Like, what were the clues for you?
I don't remember not being confused, like from day dot. I was, you know, saying like, where am I? Who sent me here? Come and pick me up. I just call it I studied Confucianism for the first half of my life. And so that, and all the moving and everything, it turned me, I guess, into, you know, a people watcher. And I think I'm that way inclined anyway, but it definitely made me the kind of person that sat and looked at people and watched and, you know, asked them, why are they doing that? Why are they acting like this? So I always asked a lot of questions. And I think something else, I don't get offended quickly, you know. So if people do weird things, I'm more like, why are they acting like that? I'm more questioning, like, why, rather than like, oh, how dare you say that? So I think just questioning and trying to see through what's, you know, to what's really going on was a big part of it. And that, you know, obviously with, you know, life, then you get into just reading people and you know, that goes on to why do people do what they do, why society. So this is where it all comes from. It all starts with, you know, why do people act like they do? Like, because if you watch people and you sort of extrapolate out their thought process, it doesn't make sense ever. Like, I mean, most of the time they're just yelling at the universe, give me what I don't want. And that's what I've been trying to figure out for a long time. And yeah, so I was just basically confused and trying to work out what was going on from day dot, really. I never remember feeling normal.
I mean, this is, I think, part of the Odyssey of Truth that we're on, and part of, you know, I've been watching some of the comments that have come in from people, you know, a bit from our Telegram. And may I tell all of our viewers now, if they haven't yet, we'll leave the links below. Please join our Telegram and go to our TikTok, and feel free to comment and suggest and question and those sorts of things. But, you know, from what I've seen in an Odyssey, in any journey, it starts back at day one. And, you know, from school, as Cambell and I have seen, feeling like the odd man out. And perhaps we're not the only ones that have that kind of a gut feeling and a gut reaction. And maybe it's been hidden from most people, that, you know, you feel you're adjusted, you feel you're making some money, you feel you have a family and children, let's say, or a job that you like. And, you know, all of those things are I guess, more and more falling apart these days. You know, as we know, it's why we started our Odyssey of Truth. And, you know, perhaps you felt like I felt an inner terror inside all the time of something on the edges of my life getting ready to explode. And I didn't know quite what it was. I pretty much felt like a charade was going on all the time from everybody. Nothing felt authentic to me. And for me, and my parents didn't help at all, right? It was just, you know, go to school and get a job, go to school and make some money, you'll be all right. Go to school, find a nice wife, you know, settle down, be like me. You know, Cambell and I have talked about that before too, how, you know, watching the mortgage and the death contracts and the parents and their life didn't seem like an attractive pathway to follow the school, so to speak.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Everyone tells you to do it. And when you say why, They don't ever have a good explanation, do they? It's always, so you can get a job. Why do I need a job? So you can get a house. Why do I need a house? Also, that you can live close enough to your job. Oh,
Oh,
that's circular thinking. That doesn't make sense. And this is the trap, because once you get your job, then you're in the system, right? Then you're an adult, and they've got you, like, and how do they get you? It's debt. You've got a job. Oh, now you need a car. Now you need a credit card. Oh, quick, save up. It's the great dream, right? The great Australian dream, or American dream, or Canadian dream, to buy a house, to buy your first house, get a mortgage. And then, of course, over the years, the houses get worse and worse in the way they're built. They get more expensive to run as far as heating and cooling and all this, and they're on smaller blocks of land, so you can no longer grow your own food. But once you're in that trap, it's very hard to get out, and so people just want to get a promotion so they can get more money so that they can keep all their stuff but have a bit of breathing space. But of course, they get more money and it's like, oh, well, the car's looking a bit old, need a new car. So, a lot of this is, we tie ourselves, to the system as well by doing this. And a lot of people think that once they've done that, they can't get out. But you can actually just sell everything. You can actually just sell up, take your losses, take your cuts, whatever, and do something different. But people, and the system is designed this way to get us in a place where we feel that we don't have any out. And so we have to continue to be a cog of the system, which is, again, where we need to start looking at with our eyes, right? Real eyes, with our eyes, that what they're telling us isn't true. Look around. If it was true, everyone would be happy. There'd be no problems. But clearly, we have a few issues.
yeah.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, for sure. I think the terror comes in the fact that, as you go to the schooling, you're never taught to be independent. You're never taught to fall back on your own resources, your own skills, your own intelligence. You're taught a vocation or a job. But if you look at the bottom of that, who is holding the strings for these jobs and vocations? You could say it's a boss or a big company or a corporation, or the monetary system on the other side of things. But those are all things you have no control over, so to speak. And I think that's where the terror and the fears and the I have no choice but to follow along, and you put the hands out for the handcuffs because they promise you a raise, as Campbell said, or they promise you a promotion, or they promise you one day you'll be at the top of the heap and telling other people what to do. Although, it's a horrible heap to be on in the first place, right? You're still in jail. If you're a guard, I talk to any guard, and I have talked to a few over the years, do some of the interviews I've done, is they don't seem any happier than the people they're imprisoning, in a way, because, you're still in the same environment, right? It's just you're on the other side of it. And basically, so what I'm basically saying is, at the schooling, if you look at the end result of listening, you're never free. Right? They tell you it's about money, and they tell you can retire, and they can tell you about your pension. But, look around, the governments are all saying now they don't have enough money, or they can't, or, if you want to get your pension or your money, you gotta poison your body in one way or many, or you got to poison your mind in all the other ways. And it's no wonder people are all walking around half shocked or zombified, or with that looks on their faces. And it seemed to me, Campbell and I both saw at a young age that, if you look down the path at where they're leading you when you're in school, didn't seem all that attractive to me,
No, it's only attractive if you want to be part of the system. If you don't see life like that, if you see life about being happy and doing what you want and having time, the system doesn't make sense at all. It's a joke. And that's what I think, over what's happened over the last couple of years, everyone's realizing this, because, we had, probably almost half the world not going to work, but everything kept working. Nothing exploded. We're all not. So this is the thing. It just shows you that all those jobs were unnecessary. They're just for the system, just for the cog, just to keep, the monetary system and the debt system going, because debt's a control. And of course, they control your mind, like Lorenzo said, with the fear, they get you all these, you get all these trinkets, and then they play with the economy and put you in fear of losing it. And to the point now where it's, if you don't get the apple juice, then they'll take it all away. So it's the same system from from birth really, but through school and into work, it's the same control system until we see that and we do something different, act in a different way. We're just going to keep getting the same result and keep getting the same stuff. And pretty much, we're kind of acquiescing, especially if we know that that's the system. If we go along with it, well, you can't really complain. It's time that we all sort of understood we do have real options. We can take real action in a different direction. And, obviously that's what this whole series is about, the Odyssey of Truth.
I mean, you're just taught to follow what you learn to create is not anything worth a long-term sustainable value. People like sustainability these days. I'm not saying it's not important to, let's say, learn to be a plumber or learn to be an electrician or learn to be a technician or an engineer or what have you. But, if you take the system away from those jobs, what are you left with? I mean, if you drop a rocket engineer, so to speak, even if they do exist, I'm not sure about that, into a force somewhere, and he knows how to make all the computers for, cross continental faster than light journeys with, rocket engines built on bee juice or whatever, or Tesla plug-in power. How useful is that? Let's say, when nobody needs that. I mean, and if you are good at that, who is holding those purse strings, right? Who are you building these rockets for? I mean, you look at all the army and military industrial complex in the States and Canada, and I don't know what it's like in Australia. I've never studied it there, but I know, Canada's deep in that, bullshit and garbage of making money to destroy lives, and what a way to be alive when I think one of the things I did notice about the system was all the jobs were destructive instead of constructive. Whether it was about making money to capitalize. I was a stockbroker for a while. I can talk about that maybe later or another show. And it never seemed like you were doing anything of value, only moving widgets from one spot to another. Or, in Canada, if you deforested or you cut down trees or you did whatever, you made money. And so it seemed like, or if you hunted, let's say, or if you, so it always seemed like what paid, I tried becoming an artist and getting paid as an artist, and try that path. That's that's a, like if you want to be a real artist, not a house decorator, which pays, but so it seems like this society, and who built the economy, right? And why are some things like sports stars more valuable than, someone who is an imaginative genius on philosophical wonderings? Why did they make more money? I mean, and I would always ask why. I think that's when I get back to the question I asked Cambell. I was always going, why? Why does this pay more? Why are they teaching me this? Why is this useful? Why? And as Cambell said, just because, we'd heard, I never found an answer that was satisfactory to me anyways.
No, and that's the question that we all need to start asking. Why? Because, if we don't ask that question, we're not going to ever get solutions. And of course, to get to the question why, you need to really think and understand that this wasn't all done in your favor, and that it hasn't led you to a life of, happiness and wealth. So ask why and start looking what are the reasons, and then you get off the reasons and you go straight to solutions. How do we fix this? What can I do that's different? And try some things, step out in trust. I think that's something that people don't have enough of, is trust in themselves and, in the creator, if you want to say it that way as well, having your back, because that's real sort of power. If you're trusting the creator, it's a lot different than trusting the system that crashes every 10 years, right? So it's all about perspective and asking the right questions, and then just moving forward and understanding that it's your path. No one else has the answers for you. So a lot of people have bits of your answer, but no one is going to have your exact answer. That's for you to find. So I think that's pretty much it, is ask the questions and look for solutions and get out there and try and understand that there's no mistakes. There are only mistakes. You can't fail. If you learn, you can't fail.
Trust in your own creator too. It's true, trust in the creator inside, trust in the creator outside, trust in something that isn't attached to another man or another woman or another person who doesn't love you. If you're going to trust in someone, you can trust your immediate family. You can trust someone that has integrity. And I can honestly say, and I don't want to offend anybody watching this, but I can, really say I've only personally met maybe a handful of people with enough integrity that I would turn my back on them 100% and trust that, everything of loving value is still going to be there when I come back in the room, let's say. That's a good way of putting it. And what's the end result of not doing this? Maybe I'll share a little story on the way out, which is really interesting, that happened yesterday. Is our house in Japan is close to another house. So when we're sitting in our kitchen, you can kind of hear the people next door. There's a small apartment building. And yesterday was a holiday here. It's really interesting. My wife was in the kitchen and she was doing whatever she was doing at the time. And she said she heard some ladies next door talking, right? What they were visiting was a family day. And they ended up talking about their husbands, which was interesting. So they had the day off. It's the middle of the week here. It was a Wednesday. And one lady said, my husband got up this morning and asked me what I should do today. And she says, what do you mean what you should do today, right? He goes, well, I don't know. I have a day off. I don't know what to do with myself. And she goes, well, do this, do that, read, go shopping, go walk. It's your day. And then the other lady said, my husband's the same. And then the third lady said, my husband's the same. And my wife said, isn't that really strange what's happening to men these days? The men that don't seem so manly is that they have a day off and they're looking to be told what to do, or else they're lost. They can't even figure out for themselves what to do on a day off when they're not in a slave system, which starts in the schooling. I'll tie it back to that, which goes to your job, which goes to your death, even, which goes to the rules and laws. And you're waking up and you're going, what do I do? No one's telling me.
That's sad. That's so sad. But that's a result of indoctrination.
Yes.
That's what we've said. We get taught to line up, when to go to lunch. We've got to put our hand up in school. Can I go to the toilet?
Yeah.
And literally teachers will say no. And so, you get these people who get so indoctrinated that when they get free time, they don't know what to do. Amazing.
So don't
let that be you.
Yes. We can end this video there. So this is part of where schooling starts, where it goes, where it can become, and perhaps that ties it in, which I found out from my life yesterday, why you don't want to go that way. Because one day you may have no one telling you what to do. One day you may need to figure things out for yourself. One day the monastery system may crash. One day your food supply may need to be something that you supply, and so on and so forth. One day you may be able to or need to build your own home. And if you're left without the skills or the skill set or even the independent thought process required to, take that first step to figure it out for yourself, I don't know about you. I don't want to be the type of man that's going, what do I do today, dear? I have nothing, I have help me, please. And I'm going, whoa. I shuddered and said, interesting. Yeah, it was embarrassing. I thought I was a little embarrassed, even though I never met these fellows, for some of the manly men or unmanly men I've met, but maybe that's chat for another video.
We definitely need to get onto that, I think. Yes, it's a bit of a plague at the moment.
Bit of a plague. All right, schooling. We've shared ours. Please share yours. I'll get this video out very soon. Cambell will have on his channel, Auto Didactic, our first edition out later today in several hours on the Oddyssey of Truth. And keep an eye on the new now. I will get this one out maybe a day or two after that. And we'll be back with much, much more.
We will. And don't forget to join our Telegram and email list below.
Yes, we're looking forward to it.
On the next.
Yes, please share. This is great. I'm enjoying it. It's getting more and more fun. I'm getting more and more relaxed. So join the Odyssey. If you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, maybe take that first step, come along for the ride, figure out how to get back to yourself. I can honestly say it's a lot of fun.
It is. Join the Odyssey with us. We'll talk to you next time.
It made me lie to my heart. No one tells me where I should start. Freedom first is what I say. Nothing now gonna get in my way.